About to throw beautiful spawn sack out. Worm with a night crawler. Let's get that worm out first. Night crawler is worm. Let's get that night crawler and marshmallow out. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Night crawler, marshmallow with special sauce. Let's see what we can do, y'all. Oh yeah, you can see that with our numbers. Getting hit. Already getting a hit, everybody. Let's recheck that, shall we? See if you got my Mars. Nope. Fishy things. Whoa, buddy. Morning. Just threw the line out. Darn right, fishy things. Never get tired of hearing that. Love hearing that, buddy. Already getting a hit through a night crawler with a marshmallow out. Oh, getting hit again. Darn it. Getting hit already. Oh, missed him. He's pecking away though. Got him. Got him that time. Got him. Got him that time, fishy. Got him that time. Oh, is that right? Muddy. Mud. Hey. Slow yourself down. Slow your roll. Slow your roll. Hey. Woo! Oh, jumpy fish. Muddy out here. Muddy jumpy fish. Muddy jumping fish. Say hi, everybody. That was a terrible release. Hope you're having a good morning. Hope you're doing well. Little Rainbow. I want his big brother. Fishing for trout, brown trout, rainbow trout, pro plug. I got a pro brass rod here, just a little micro light. I got my Okuma SST. Most of my rods are Okuma. Got a ton of salmon, steelhead fishing gear. Most of all that's Okuma. Actually, I think all of it's Okuma. I'll re-gear that other one, get that other line back out there. This one, we're hoping for the big fish. Big fish hit the spawn sack. These stockers will go crazy over the marshmallow and trout, but I prefer the big one. Let's get this done again. Yeah. Night crawler, marshmallow. I put a special sauce on this marshmallow. That's what it really does it, man. Marshmallow with that whatever, a good kind of scent. Garlic works good. Raises the having a marshmallow on your worm like that floats your marshmallow up. This way I got about a 14, 15 inch leader tied for my weight, so ends up floating up about 15 inches right in the strike zone. Come on, fishies. Hope everyone's doing well this morning. Sun's just coming up. Turn the live on right at time, first light, if you will, whether it's finally enough light that the camera can pick it up pretty well. Action's pretty strong here in the morning. And it dissipates. I waited until the camera was on, until I cast it out, because I knew sometimes it's that fast. Like that first one, as soon as I threw it out, bam, hit. Oh yeah. We got a fish on with a spawn, guy. Fish on, did you see that? Oh man, that was a good hit. Ooh, look at this rod pulling too. Ooh, baby. Oh, that's a good head shake on that rod. Oh man, that's some head shaking. Oh, this trout's not happy. This trout's not happy. This trout's not happy. Oh, he came loose. Whoa, he came loose at the last second. Last second he came loose. Paranormal. Yep, spawn sack, man. He just attacked that thing. He just came loose at the last second. Well, that's a decent fish. Thought I had that guy in. Had him. Didn't bring him in. Let's get him. AJ. Morning, AJ. Morning, Paranormal. Hope you guys are rocking. Hopefully it's morning where you are. I mean, it could be afternoon. We got us one little rainbow so far. And we got us fish number 2 because I have fish on this rod, guys. That's how it goes, fishy. AJ, holy moly. Ignore this rod for a second to deal with that one, and I got fish on. That's that marshmallow for you, man. I'm telling you. It is so muddy and slippery. So muddy and slippery here, man. These fish are just flopping out of my hands. Yes, they are. That's a boy fish. Mr. Boy Fish. It's breeding time. I can tell that was a boy fish. Fish number 2. Fish number 2. That's how it's done, y'all. Let's get some more. More. This is getting me warm. All right, we are loaded up again. Let's do it. Marshmallow. Night crawler, special sauce on that marshmallow. Got a 26-inch brown the other day, probably about four days ago. Cooked that thing up for dinner last night. Man, was that a beautiful fish. Yeah, exactly. Adrian, we did it. I like that short that Bob at Eddie Finn's did the other day when they got home. He was coming out of the RV with the Rocky Tune playing. We did it. Can only imagine the smells living a whole family in an RV would create after a week. That's what I'd probably be happiest for. Not space, get some fresh air. Rainbow trout breeding season right now up here for us. So a lot of the bigger ones have eggs in them. I got this yellow rod over here with a spawn sack on it. Oh, there went a little fishy. You might have saw him on camera. The big boys tend to have been around long enough that they eat the spawn a lot. They're not just insect eaters, worm eaters. I notice the stockfish come out hungry. They're eating pellets their whole life, so they'll eat whatever. The older fish, smarter fish, they're a little more picky. Takes me a lot of work to hit those old fish. They'll come up, just barely peck at my line. You can tell. Young fish, fresh out of the hatchery, he doesn't know any better. He'll just gobble that puppy up, take the whole thing down with him. Hook, line, and sinker. Let's see where we're at. Let's see where we're at. Thanks, AJ. I appreciate that, bud. It'd be like a catching frenzy around here, man, at times. Barely have a chance to catch my breath. It's about 32 degrees, 30 actually, it said when I pulled in. Yeah, absolutely. No problem, fishy. I run a 20-pound braid on most of my lines. On this line here, I have a 12-pound fluorocarbon just the whole way. I had a whole bunch of extra fluorocarbon around, so I was like, I'll spool this one with fluoro because I was fishing out here in the low 20s, and it's so difficult with the ice on my braid. I bring I think 4 rods with me just in case. I bring a couple extra. So this one I'll show you here. So this one I take a slide swivel. You see it? It's got this little slide on it. So this one just slides. It's got this I don't know, that little tube connected to them. So your little swivel can slide down, 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 down. And then you can put whatever kind of weight you want on the end of that. So from there, I just tie about 15-inch leader to your hook. I use a number 2 or number 4 typically because I like to try and catch these bigger fish here. So then this setup here, I got 20-pound braid running down this line, runs to this, which I got an 8-pound fluorocarbon on. Trout can't see the line, is what everyone says, so I don't run a 4-pound or something teeny tiny. I 8, 10, 12 sometimes for my leader because there's big fish out here. So that's it. I can adjust the weights. I put different amount of weights on here on the end for whatever I want. I got these 2 little clunkers on here because I tend to lose them a lot, and so I put a 1/4 ounce so I can get myself 30 or 40 feet out there. Well, thought we were getting some action. So yeah, that's pretty much the setup as far as the rigging goes. If you don't use kind of swivel like that's got the line you can put through it. Like these rods out here, I just have a bullet weight on there. So I just take the line and I put a bullet weight on first, and then I tie the swivel on. I think I got a 1/4 ounce bullet weight on one of these. So that bullet weight just slides freely. So the weight will sit down at the bottom with no resistance. And when the fish does bite, it pulls all the way through without the weight giving any resistance to that fish. Because that'll be half of the issue, man. They feel a little bit of that resistance and then they're like, no, thank you. So then what ends up doing is the whole entire line pulls. I use bait holder hooks. I just like, regular nice Eagle Claw. I buy a big pack of 50. And I buy number 2s. All these are number 2s because I use a lot of worm. Sometimes I'll use a number 4. Nothing in the aughts. You use your 1/0 and 2/0 and 3/0 for my salmon and steelheads and stuff. But when it comes to trout, I just use bait holder, number 2 or number 4. And Missed that guy. Trout are interesting. They'll give you these little tap 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 tap. That's what they like to hit. Little tap 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 bites. And so sometimes you gotta like just give it a second to see what they're gonna do when that bite is before you set that hook. That one I messed up on. A lot of times I try to take the rod and get that tension on there, and as long as like I was saying there, there's no resistance to that weight, it's all right there at the end of your rod. That micro light. Typically, you have a real light rod for trout. The action there just hits that tip, and you can tell. Back mountain, good morning. Glad you're here. Well, that's just a general overview. I want to reel this one in, show you. No no sliding swivel on there. This one I just use a bullet weight. So the bullet weight itself slides up and down the line. That way when the fish hits, all the tension is on the tip of your rod. Night crawler. I cut the worm in half and I thread him, so then about half the worm sticks off the hook. And then in this case, the marshmallow brings them up. You can find marshmallows at most fish stores, most fish supply stores. No, they cannot bite through the hook typically. Their teeth aren't that strong. They're not like a lot of these East Coast guys I watch with these other fish they're getting. Pickerel and things like that I've never had a chance to even come close to. So no, they can't bite through the lines. The reason for the leader is before you break your line. And then all you'll end up doing is breaking, a lot of times you can never tell what's out there in the bottom. You'll get snagged up. Tara, good morning. Let me make sure you're the right color, Tara. Tara doesn't look right, not blue. 20-pound braid that's on this yellow line here. Braid's a challenging line. If you lose a lot of it out near water, it'll take forever to decompose. Other people can get snagged on it, and it'll just be a nightmare. And so you take your braid, or typically that's how I was taught, and you run that. Yeah, go ahead and get yourself your mini marshmallows. Just get yourself some mini marshmallows. Go to your tackle bait supply store, and they should have different scents. And one of them most likely is garlic and anise and a few things like that. And then you can just take yourself, a little jar, a little baby food jar, whatever you got, and put some marshmallows in there, and then put that scent stuff on there. That's the ticket. You'll find out really what particular scent drives your local fish crazy. Yeah, that little leader, I tell you, that it saves me all the time. All I'll ever lose is this much line. I'll lose a little bit of that fluorocarbon line, that little 14-inch, and that's it. I get all my gear back. I get my weights back. I get my hook, not my hook, but I get my weights. I get my swivel. I get all that stuff back. The only thing that breaks off on me is that. So you just kind of look at your pound line. If you got a 20-pound line on there, don't tie a 20-pound leader on there. Because then wherever the weak spot is in your line, whenever you get snagged on something, well, that's where your line's going to break. You could lose half your spool. I've seen it many times. So then if I got like this, 20-pound on there, I want 15-pound, 12, 10, 8, whatever. Shallow river and medium current. That's my kind of river there. Yeah, Tara, you look a lot better. That's my idea there. And I like bobber fishing in rivers. I really do, man. That's my favorite, bobber fishing. You figure out the depth. I just use bobber with night crawler. Oh man, I was looking up that Lake Michigan. I was looking up them Lake Michigan steelhead. Because I've seen stuff in Indiana where the steelies come off one of the Great Lakes there. I'm not sure which one's Indiana. And then boy, the rivers are so much different than we got out here for those steelheads. They're tiny, teeny little guys. Hey, hey, hey! Good morning, MBB. Nice to see you, buddy. Yeah, so they use different stuff out there. It's like center line. They use a lot of center line fishing out there. They're way different out there on the Great Lakes where they're fishing for their steelhead. I watch these guys called oh, fishy man. I'm envious. Man, I'm envious. Yeah, I watch those guys, and it looks really cool because it's so much shallow. I mean, they're catching stuff in like 2 feet of water. They're catching these monster like 4 foot steelies that come out of this littlest water you could ever imagine. Oh, that was a big fish over there. I'm gonna recast that. Lake trout look really interesting. Never eaten a lake trout, but I gotta tell you, that does not look like an appealing fish to eat. It looks blubbery. It looks rather kind of weird. Thought I saw the first osprey come back yesterday. Got a probably about 10 nice osprey that hunt this beautiful lake. That osprey is the only bird of prey that only eats fish. That's it, nothing else. The ospreys we have here, they go all the way down to the jungles of Brazil. They take a 3,000-mile migration, go all the way down to Brazil. Oh, they're a little fishy. And then they come back. It's crazy. This is my river float here. I like these style floats. These go down a river really well. There's addicted fishing stuff. I use things like this when I'm in little streams and little rivers. This is a little 1/4 ounce guy, so it can handle a 1/4 ounce of extra weight on there. This is my all-time favorite for river fishing. You get something like this, just give yourself 10-inch little leader. Just put a little worm on there and toss it in a little stream. Let that thing just drift on down, fishy. I'm telling you, man, I've caught so many on little creeks and rivers doing that. You could be adventurous and try just fishing the bottom of that creek or stream or river you're going, just putting a small amount of slip shot weight in there and a worm and just let it drift down there. But I tell you, when I do that, I catch fish, but I get hung up almost constantly. Yeah, it's a beautiful spot right here. I'm gonna throw this float out there after talking about it. Man, that sounds beautiful, fishy. Mostly not. I'm using mostly night crawlers. Giancarlo, I think if I'm saying that correct. Uh, yeah, night crawler on this on the float that I just threw out. Well, this yellow rod that you may be able to see here, I got spawn sack on. You're on to something, AJ. I have a special sauce that I use for my marshmallows. And I think you nailed it, AJ. You know what you're talking about, buddy. Sweet corn, man. That's the ticket for me. Sweet corn. That does it. No, that's great with those hatcheries, man. I go up to this place in Oregon on the Rogue River, Lost Cove area, and it's we're about a mile from the hatchery, and so there are. I mean, I've caught a lot of big old chunky Chinook. The cohos come in. The cohos probably there right about now, and there's a couple salmon holdover spots that are about a mile from that hatchery, and oh, you can get lucky. Trout's a blast to catch, I tell you. A German brown, though, we cooked that thing up for dinner last night. And that was just amazing. It was about an inch thick of meat. So it wasn't no little guy. It was a big fish, that 26 incher, probably about a 5-pound fish. My daughter has an AI app she uses to analyze her food. Just take a picture of it and it'll tell her, give her a score of how healthy it was on the eating scale. We had that brown trout, some broccoli, carrots, and rice last night for dinner. That thing gave her a 97, and it recognized that brown trout as a salmon. That's what it called it. And brown trout's in the salmo family, so technically it is a salmon. Those zombie salmon are a really interesting one, AJ. I fished a place called Klamath River, and where I'm at, the salmon have traveled about 60, 80 miles of river by the time they get up to where I'm at. So it's a little bit later in the run. And so by the time I ended up catching them, they're a little bit colored up. They're not the best to eat. But by the time they make it up to me, I start catching them. And about 3 weeks later, the zombies start coming back downriver. And I'll be standing out there in the river with my waders on and about 3 feet deep of water. Something will kind of startle me. I'll turn around and there's a big 4-foot salmon. It bumps into me. Yeah, that brown was absolutely delicious. I grilled some onions, and then after I cooked the brown, I got that little bit of butter. I got those onions sauteed in. So I'll take the fish and just toss it in that real fast for a second. Getting a bite, maybe, guys. Got a fish. Got us a fish. Got us a fish. We got us a fish on the bobber. Fish on the barbie. Fish on the bobber. Oh, this one's not happy. So muddy, so muddy. I'll just bring him over here real fast. Give you all a glimpse of him before I get him all mudded up trying to get him off the hook. Little 12-inch. Little guy. Oh, he swallowed that. Hey, buddy, relax. Relax, buddy. Woohoo! That's how it's done. Yeah, I agree. Anything's better with a pat of butter. Put a pat of butter on it. Watch a lot of Family Guy cartoons and stuff like that, and he does a hilarious song about anything's better with a pat of butter. Ravishing! It's so nice to see you. I peeked in on one of your shows last night, Ravishing. Sometimes I'm just a bit of a lurker. I'll just sit and watch, see what everyone's up to. It was nice watching you talk, and it was beautiful. You have such lovely hair. About 30 degrees out here, so I got to deal with my ice forming on my eyelets and on the guide of my reel. It's terrible. Appreciate y'all being here. You're such a wonderful community. I was born and raised fisherman. Sometimes you take for granted the things that you know, and you maybe just kind of think other people know similar stuff. I've been watching all these East Coast fishermen, ice fishermen, and all this stuff, catching all kinds of things I've never even dreamt of catching. When it comes to trout, I mean, I've been catching that my whole entire life, so that's just like knowledge that I don't even think about. I just have in there, and it's been really fun to share. And I realize that not everyone has a similar knowledge base, and so it's been really great to share the few things I know and taught myself. If I had my way, Ravishing, I'd catch one of these gigantic brown trouts that are out here. They're German brown in origin, but most people just call them brown trouts. Caught one the other day. It was 26 inches. It was a huge fish. And that's what we actually had for dinner last night. So if I catch a big fish, I tend to keep the big ones. I got a real nice industrial size smoker. And so I always give away a lot of my fish to my extended family. We got this good community in the town I live in. We gather together on Sundays, and I'm a drummer, so we play hand drums, and we got out here and do this drum circle. Second biggest drum circle in all of America. Me and my buddy started it about 15 years ago. And so we get out on Sundays. We get a couple hundred people that come to the park and play with us and have a good time. And so I give away a lot of my fish to all my friends there. I grew a lot in my garden. I got a mini farm. I had about 100 by 60 foot mini farm. You wouldn't call that a garden. It was big last year. I gave away about 600 pounds of produce that I grew for everybody in the community. Yeah, it really is. This is my morning meditation, if you will. I'll get up early. I'll come out here. I'll come out here and get a chance to relax and just be. Come on, fishy. All right, fishy. Fishy things. Uh-oh, getting a bite. We got a fish. We got a fish. Uh-oh, this one's pulling a little bit of drag. This one's excited. This one's excited. Oh, he's a stalker, but he's a happy little excited guy. Oh, he's excited fish. Excited fish. Oh, excited fish. Another excited fish. Another excited fish. Let's get him up. Oh, you didn't come out there. No, you did not. Nicely done. That's how it's done, y'all. I'm gonna redo this one. I want this big fish. I don't mind catching the little guys for y'all. I'd love to catch that big fish. No, that last one I brought him in. he did good. He took off. The one before him is still doing his best to recoup over there. He didn't like the way he got hooked. That last fish did pretty well. He got off pretty easy. He released pretty simple. They're almost guttural hooking those last two. Just barely able to get him. Randy, nice to see you here, buddy. Make sure you got the right color on you, Randy. Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on that little guy right over there. I make my own plant food. So since I got such a big little mini farm, I'm a Korean natural gardening kind of guy. There's a KNF style of it's a long talk, but anyway, you can learn all about making your own plant food. And one of the main things we use is fish. And there's about 4 different products we can make with fish. One of the simplest ones we make is called fish amino acid, and we just take equal parts fish and equal part brown sugar, put it in a big bucket, and just let it age, kind of like soy sauce. It just cures up. Yeah, fish have a ton of high nitrogen in them. When studies have been done in some of these redwood forests and everything like that, they look at upwards of 25% of the nitrogen found in the soil there comes from the salmon and the steelhead over the lifetime of just decomposing. So if you learn how to actually activate and get the breakdown going of the fish and the acids and the aminos and things like that in there, then it's really easy. So I'll take little guys like that don't survive, and I'll do that with them. I got about 8 5-gallon buckets full of stuff right now that's brewing. So I got my years of nutrients taken care of this coming year, so I don't need a ton. But at this point, I just give it away to my other gardening friends. Anytime you can, close that loop and take care of as much as you can in-house, it just makes your gardening, your farming, whatever, that much better. You don't got to buy stuff, not out there buying imported nutrients from some other country that I have no connection with as far as the growing. And you learn to work with the things that are native to your environment. They tend to do a lot better too, the microorganisms and all that stuff. I am in Mount Shasta, California, Ravishing. A lot of people I know they'll avoid telling people the city that they're in. I don't mind promoting the city I'm in. City I'm in needs more tourism. So we survive on tourism. So if anybody ever wants to come fish this beautiful little spot, just come on up, get a hold of me. Or it's one of the most common fishing places here in this town. So you ask anybody where to fish, and they'll probably point you right here. I spend half my time trying to outfish the other fishermen. So I get up here at the crack of dawn, a half hour before light, sit out here and say my prayers, just kind of acclimate, feel the morning. Yeah, Russ, it's a real good spot. Right over that way, just a little bit, is where the creek comes in. It's a nice creek, and so it enters here. It's highly oxygenated water throughout here. It's much colder. In the summertime, in the Russ, yeah, I get that. Right touch, hey buddy. Hook you up, right touch. When this lake warms up a lot during the summer, it gets challenging, and so trout tend to love highly oxygenated water. So they'll come up into this little channel right here, this part of the lake, because it's getting all this fresh water coming in here. It's got a food source. They'll sit there and just look upstream and wait for any bug to come. And then it's also highly oxygenated. So then, it makes life a lot easier on them. Right across the bank over there is one of my favorite spots. I'll wait. The water gets a little bit lower a lot of times during the summer. Come end of August, September. That's probably when I get about 80% of my stocked freezer full of meat, if you will, full of fish is then in September. I'll usually limit out. Yes, you're so welcome, Radisher. Yeah, world's changed so much, Fishy, from when I was young. It was the three television stations we all pretty much had to follow. So everybody kind of watched the same things. My sisters' moms, they loved their Knots Landing and Dynasty. Get a bite. Get a bite on that spawn sack. Dallas, Who Shot JR, stuff like that. It was a big deal back then. We only had one source. So then when those fishing shows were on and things like that, you know, it was fun stuff to watch because there wasn't a whole lot of options on TV. Now YouTube, it's kind of, well, the way the world has shifted, everyone kind of connects with their personal preferences. There's so many paywalls. You can get a little $6 sub for an exact kind of television shows or news shows or whatever you want to get into. It was more universal when I was young. We all watched the same shows. Jimmy Houston, yep, I remember that. That spawn sack is the least friendliest fishing that I do. There's almost no forgiveness. They'll tap that spawn sack instantly, and if you're not right on it, you'll lose it. I lose 9 out of 10 times. It seems like 9 out of 10 fish I lose when they hit that spawn sack. I got to hold the rod, and I got to just be waiting for them. That's really cool fishing. Yeah, I noticed how so many things have changed. It was big movies, and then there was like low budget television when I was a youngster. You saw Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones. You saw him up on the big screen. You would never see him on television. And over the last decade, everything's kind of switched that way, where you see Harrison Ford on television shows now, and you see a lot of these people that were once big stars. They just have their television runs. And I was watching a guy talk about it the other day. It might have been Shogun or somebody else. Um, and they were just talking about how they use the same recording equipment. The same cameras are used for these television shows that are used for the movies. So you used to be able to kind of notice the difference when you went to a big blockbuster movie or you watched Battlestar Galactica on television. And there was a big difference in cinematography. It just looked really different. Now they got the same equipment, so they all look the same. Come on now. on, fishy, fishy. Had to go disappear on you. Try and get a better cast over there. Different section of the water. So cold here that my line's freezing on this rod. So I got to sit there and warm it up. 20 seconds before I can cast it out there. Check on that. You going live today, Fishy Things? Anybody else going live today? Oh, okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I watched these guys called Addicted Fishing. They're Pacific Northwest guys. And I learned a lot about different steelhead and salmon techniques. Started fishing this place in COVID, I think 19, maybe 2020. You guys remember those times? Everything was shut down, so there's not a whole lot we could do in life. So I hadn't been fishing. I took a good decade or so off, focused on other things, starting businesses, that kind of stuff. So I was kind of bored. So I started fishing again. Came out here, did really well, and then got to a point where I figured it out really well here, and I was just catching them left and right, stocking my freezer full of beautiful fish. And I caught this gorgeous hen once, full of eggs. That kind of started my whole secondary aspect of my fishing journey, if you will. And so I took those eggs and I had to learn about them. I learned about curing them, that kind of stuff. Learned about making spawn sacks. Started using that here in this lake, and I was just slaying them, catching fish when nobody was catching fish. And I'm Lakota, and I listen to spirit. Let's just put it simple it that way. And so I was getting this information that I should move on. It was kind of like, hey, you already figured this one out, buddy. Go challenge yourself is the message I was getting. So I took the eggs, spawn sack. I started watching other good channels. I had to learn, as we all do. You got to, put more into your cup of life. So that led me to getting back into salmon and steelhead. It's been a while. My mom used to go to Alaska. Had a bunch of friends who would take her down on the road. We're from Portland, Oregon originally, but the Rogue is about 5 hours south of there. When I was a young lad, that was a little too sophisticated for me. I liked my trout fishing, catfish, bass fishing. That was a big fish out there. So like I said, it was kind of the blessing of the big fish here at the lake. They presented me some nice, amazing eggs. And then I was like, all right, let's expand my knowledge. And I was blessed. You know, Creator took care of me. It was really amazing. I got a buddy who had a bunch of property up on Umpqua River. It had 80 acres on the river. So I went up there, and it was about the fourth or fifth cast of throwing this bobber, same kind of bobber I got here, floating down a spawn sack. Wham bam, got my first steelhead. From then it was on. Glad you're here, Chaos. I don't mind catching these little 14-inch stalkers, but man, I want to catch one of these 24 inchers for you guys. Oh, missed that one, man. He took my bobber down. That was a nice bobber down. I missed him. Threw that a little bit too close to that duck. Startled it. whole lot of ice forming on my eyelids. I've heard about putting cooking oil, WD-40, all kinds of weird things on your fishing eyelets. That doesn't make any sense to me. All right, marshmallow time again. We'll see if that marshmallow gets us something. Bouncer! Morning, buddy. Got a bunch of cuties. No big, massive fish yet. Mama Cookie, so nice to see you here. You guys may be able to hear the creek come in. Maybe hear that gentle sound of the water rushing. Bouncer! Lewis. They shut the rivers down for trout here, California, and Oregon as well. Probably Washington too. I don't know Washington well enough, but here in California, we can't fish the rivers for trout until April 15th. Creeks, rivers, stream, whatever you want to call it. There's a dozen rivers here in California which are open for salmon and steelhead when salmon season's open. Salmon has been closed for 2 years, but steelhead fishing's open. Yeah, April 1st, I believe it. Yep. So we have to wait till the 15th until I can hit the creeks and streams. A lot of the places I like to go to are out in the bush. It's great fishing, but I doubt I'll be able to do it live. I'm gonna start doing some hunting. I can up on the Rogue River, but that's the absolute opposite of here, Bouncer. I tell you, up there in the Rogue River, oh, you just got fishing locals that have grown up on that river their whole life, and they act as if, I mean, it's public space, big old parks that we all get to go to and fish, but they act as if it's theirs, and they're very pushy. If this was that river, that guy will walk right up here and he'll stand 3 feet next to me and start fishing. And so you have to have a whole different kind of patience when you're on, when I go up there and fish, and it's just a whole different world. I call them the monofilament mafia. Got these monofilament guys up there, and man, they cannot stand braided line. It's nobody's business what anybody else is fishing with. It's nobody else's business. It's public spot. Do what you want. But go up there. You'll go up and you'll go toss your stuff in the line, toss your line out in the water, and they'll start giving you the business. And like I said, I got to call it a monofilament mafia, and people like me who got braid, and I don't care. I'll be like, I'm fishing with braid, and I'm proud of it, buddy. I don't lose my braid. I know what I'm doing. But they'll sit there and they'll passively aggressively just irritate you all day long. Every time they get snagged, they're like, God dang, braid again. Someone fool this braided line out here. And they're talking to you. And so they make fishing really, it's just uncomfortable. It's not fun. It's like you got to do it exactly their way or you get no acceptance. And it's real hard. Yeah, they assume it's my braid that they're snagged on. And the worst part of it is, like I said, they're all monofilament guys. And I've watched probably a dozen spools getting broke up there. They'll be snagged across the way over there. And I'll watch them pull on that line, snap, I'll hear that thing going, I'll watch 400 feet of line just go floating out there in the water. But they don't take any responsibility for their own mess. And when I get snagged up there, it's always monofilament. I'm always reeling in, pulling in this monofilament. So I could go up there and catch salmon all day long. But you got to deal with those people. It's ridiculous. So that burns me out probably half the time. So I don't even go up there, man. And they're a bunch of retired guys. And so they don't eat the fish. They're all catch and release. Most people that I fish with, we're attempting to catch a certain type of fish to bring home. We're not just out there showing our superiority over nature. But those guys are just bored. And then if it isn't the Budinskis who need to tell you how to fish, it's the fact that they're like, I've been fishing this river for 50 years now. And so they don't care that they have no ethics. I was brought up that if you're there first, that's your spot. You got there first. If someone comes along and they want that spot, well, I'm sorry. And disappointment is a factor of life. You got to accept it. You got to get up, beat that guy to that spot the next day. But up there in these rivers in Oregon, they don't care about that. They'll just come butt right up next to you. And for me, I understand kind of the way fish are in a certain sense. And like, if you throw a spinner, that's like an ambulance going by with his sirens. In the water, that spinner is loud, it's obnoxious, and it spooks most fish. So if you're trying to catch trout on the bottom like this, I'm not going to be throwing a loud spinner out there because it's going to spook everybody, and then I'm not going to get a single bite. Well, that's what'll happen. So that's my little rant about those Oregon guys. I'm from Oregon originally. When I raised up there, everyone hated Californians. Everyone blamed Californians for why Oregon was falling apart, why everything was changing. Oh, darn Californians coming up here, blah, 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 blah. And I moved just south of Oregon into California. I swore I'd never be a Californian. Growing up, I was like, oh, I can't be. They're like the enemy. Now I'm up here. Now, it's funny. Let me hook you up, Lewis. Looks like you're a good brother, Lewis. Action slowing down, guys. I think I mentioned it before. I've gotten to know this river source, this lake here. I can get a lot of action right away. Hour and a half into it, nah, it's dead, man. It just dies. I think we're about there. Yeah, it looked like it. I wasn't sure, Lewis. I thought I'd seen you around, buddy. Yeah, I feel that. If I'm in the mood for advice, that's great. I was learning steelhead up on the Chetco River. about 4 years ago, and each river is a little different. One of my sayings is, no 2 days of fishing are ever the same. You come back to a water source where you caught a big fish yesterday, and you throw right in there, you may not catch not even a single bite. No 2 days of fishing are alike. So each river is kind of different. And so I had to learn the Chetco. I caught a nice steelhead on a bobber and a spawn sack, but I wasn't having that great of luck. I was throwing a bead. I was throwing beads most of the time, and I had smaller beads, little 12, maybe, yeah, probably 12, 14, 12 millimeter beads, and I had kind of a decent sized hook on there. I had a 1/0. I was going on what some of these other guys had shown on a tutorial, and I wasn't getting any luck. I watched these locals come up, and I mean, there was a nice grouping of steelhead out there. I was watching them boil all afternoon. I was throwing my stuff right at them, and it was kind of irritating me that I wasn't getting them. These locals come up, 10 minutes hit, bam, they got one. Another 5 minutes later, wham, bam, they got another one. And I'm like, what are you guys doing that I'm not? Because I'm throwing in the same area, man. Darn right, bouncer. And so I had to, belly up to these guys and befriend them. I was a little irritated when I first saw them because, after they caught some fish and they left a bunch of beer cans and cigarette packs and butts everywhere. So I was like, okay, they're the kind that just come trash the joint. So my first impression wasn't the best. And then I had to, I said, belly up, go up and talk to them. And nothing better than a local, I tell you, man. They know how to catch those fish in that particular area. And so they went on to educate me that the fish right there, they want their bead presentation in a certain height. And if you use too heavy of a hook, well, it'll bounce along the river, but it'll be sitting on the rocks. And they found that they use a little number 6 or number 8 hook. I mean, a teeny little thing. And a big bead too. They would use, sometimes 18 or big 20 bead. And so they found that you need to have this light hook presentation so the bead will bounce right around that 6 inches to 10 inches off the bottom. And the only problem with that little bit of hook, yeah, number 6, but we're talking steelhead. We're talking, they're going for these 30-inch, 28 to 30-inch. On the Chetco, they're about 8-pound, 10-pound steelhead. And so I'm watching them nail it. They're getting hooked on. And they would bend the hook. They would bring, oh man, lost that one again, they would say. They'd reel that gear back in, and they'd be like, yep, hook, bent that hook. So they're using them little hooks. And sure enough, I copied their system, and I started getting fish. And so that's what I give a lot of respect to the right kind of local, and usually they're not the buddy and skis. Yep, bouncer, that makes total sense. I started trying them trout magnets here. It worked really well. I found I was only catching the little ones. That's the thing is for me, there's things I can catch little guys on, and then there's the ones that I can catch these big boys on. Big boys tend to like to spawn, and we got these massive German browns here, and they're predatory fish. They're not interested in bait. I've never heard of anyone catching one on power bait. And majority of the time that I've caught my German browns, I got them on like a gulp minnow, and I'm out there pretending to be a dying fish or a spoon or something like that. And sounds good, fishy. And so them German browns are challenging to catch. Probably the most difficult thing of this lake. You know, we got flathead catfish here. I've caught probably about 4 6-pounder. Caught some big bass. I've caught some big bass on accident here. Probably 8 pound. And I'm trying to catch trout, and then they just attack my worm. Never tried the live bait. That'd be an interesting one. They sell live crickets at the bait shop here, and I tried that once, and that was a nightmare for me. You got to use the teeniest little hook imaginable, and then trying to get that hook into that cricket without like just totally destroying the cricket was a headache and a half. My little mini farm, I have grasshoppers that come in like crazy. I wanted to maybe get some kind of maybe a butterfly net. I don't know what way to kind of catch them live grasshoppers, but they're up to, you know, the 2-inch, 2.5-inch grasshoppers, nice big ones. And so I thought that'd do good. I could catch me something with that. Yeah, it's so interesting to see what works. I was listening to Any Fins, and he was talking about some kind of worm. What the heck? I forget the name of it, but it's like a grub. It's like some kind of grub thing that you guys use back there in Pennsylvania, and they called it butterworm, maybe something like that. Yep, butterworm. That was it. And we got this thing called witchetty grub. We got this pine beetle that makes a grub. And that's what I was thinking. You know, it's kind of similar to the witchetty grubs we get here. We'll get about, 2 inches long if you're lucky, thick as a pencil. Never tried them yet, but it looks like a good one. I had some wood that I got from a buddy's property a couple years back to burn. I burned about 5 cords of wood during the winter. That thing was infested with pine beetle larvae. You could just hear it. Yeah, exactly. That's funny. The grubs look like they'd be good. I got this interesting place. It's in a creek, and it's open year round. I think it's Churn Creek. Well, I can fish there year round, and just no catch, or sorry, no retaining. It's a zero retention water source, so you can fish all year, catch and release only. We got a Sacramento River right that way. Sacramento River starts right over there on the other side of this little hill here. This water source, this lake here, drops down into Box Canyon, and then that's Sacramento River. So this lake here is the headwater of the Sacramento River. And so Sacramento River for the next 20 miles is zero retention. Artificial only. Oh, what's that fish? Jumping fish over there. Now I haven't seen too much. We got a bunch of foam on the water right now, and we just had our cedar pollen blossom and bloom roll through. Since I'm by the inlet over here, there's a lot of kind of water stirring. It tends to make this a slight little bit of colored foam. I think I caught all they wanted to give me today, guys. I don't know if they're gonna bite anymore. Been sitting here so long, it's all frozen. Look at that. It won't even budge. If I caught a fish hit on this line, I'd probably lose him right now. It's frozen right here. Gotta get that ice off. It's frozen right here. Oh, look at that. How am I going to catch anything on that eyelet? That's all frozen. Look at that. That was the real culprit. I would have lost that fish for sure if someone hit on there. Ooh. Come on, fishy, fishy. Let's get that big one. Oh, it's getting cold. All right, fishy. Glad you made it back safe. Gonna give this a little bit more. See if we can catch a fish. We're gonna get the sun to rise up over this bank here. I can see it just starting to crest. Then it's gonna blind us. Gonna get sun in the eye. Heated rods. I got a heated jacket on, man. I'm rocking. Got my heat on right now. This M12. Oh man, it makes a world of difference out here, man, I tell you. Milwaukee, the old M12. It makes a world of difference. I mean, I'm from the cold. I'm from the wet region. I'm used to cold. I got all these big puffy jackets and all this good stuff like that. And so I can layer up. I'll put my Patagonia, long underwear on and all that good stuff, and I'm fine. But I'm bulky. I'm huge. Bouncer. I agree. Yeah. And then so I saw someone talk about a heated vest a couple years ago. The guy's like, "Oh, that heated vest you gave me, that's a game changer." So then I looked into it and I was like, man, because when you're up and active, it's fine. If you're out ice skating or if you're hiking, if you're doing something in the cold, it's one thing. But you sit here fishing, you get up and you do something for 5 minutes and then you sit your butt back down for a half hour. When I first started the live, I was slamming them ones, and so that got me warm. And then all of a sudden the action dropped. So did my temperature. I get about 3 hours on the highest setting on this jacket too, just on the one battery. And if I put it on the lowest setting, I can get about 5-6 hours out of there. Got 3 different settings. Man, it's made a big difference for me, guys. I used to just do my hand warmers. I used to do whatever I could to try and stay warm. Yeah, I watched the short on our, it might have been a long video, but a guy was talking about roofing, and he was talking about them not doing it in real cold temperatures, and they were explaining that you need to have a minimum temperature for those roof tars to adhere, to kind of seal together. And so I kind of wondered, I always notice that, you know, we got lots of construction that'll go on during the warm months, but then up here it just dies and nobody roofs during the winter. That made sense, and I was like, okay. Oh, that makes sense, Lewis. Fish. Wow. I guess if you got to do it, you got to do it, huh? Got to get her done when you got to get her done. Everything's freezing. Yep. Yeah, I don't know too much about roofing. I've watched them. My business partner used to do roofing. Complains about his knees. Hurt his knees a lot. Looks like it. Looks like it'd be a tough thing to do all the time. Metal roofing, I can imagine ain't so bad. Working around that hot asphalt. Some of them ones in Southern California, when I watch them fix roofs, they got that big pot of just nasty black asphalt. Smell that stuff a mile away. Yeah, yeah. My buddy's knees from construction, and then that man, I tell you, I got it a lot. I did a lot of gardening work, and so be on my knees, moving plants around and nursery stuff like that, just moving big heavy things constantly. So I spent many years just on my knees, and couple motorcycle accidents, a couple off-road accidents, and then endless basketball injuries. My knees have felt it, that's for sure. Come on, visions. Sounds good, Bounce. Usually what I do, I just leave things on. There's times where I want to watch a comedy or something like that, and I'll watch a good movie. A lot of times I just watch these fishing guys. I think I had MVP on, and Fishing with Steve, and then Fishy Things. I think that was my yesterday. I watched Ravishing a little bit later on after Fishy Things was on. Ooh, yeah, bad fishy. Yeah, I'm 53, and man, my knees feel it. Listening to Bob on Annie Finn's talking the other couple weeks ago, talking about how he's been a professional athlete his whole life, and then all of a sudden he notices the difference in his body last year. Sometimes it seems like that. It's like we have a certain amount of mileage, and then once you reach that, you'll notice all of a sudden it's like, when your alternator gives out or something in your car. It was good one day and then not so much. You'll wake up one day and you're like, whoa, this doesn't feel the same as it used to feel. Oh man, that sulfur's got to be tough. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. My sister had to get a knee replacement. She passed away a few years ago, but before that, she had to do the knee replacement. My dad had some football injuries. My dad was one of the most amazing athletes I ever saw. He I think his high school days was in the mid '60s, and he jumped 23 foot in the long jump in 1964, and still a record at his high school. I've seen that plaque many times. 23 foot in 1964. If he would have had some proper training, my dad could have definitely made the Olympics. Could have done really well. He had scholarships from USC, 2 or 3 other big schools for football. He was a little too short for basketball, but he had scholarships like crazy. And then in his college days, he hurt his knees. He was probably bound for the NFL, and lost all his teeth, got his knees messed up pretty good. My dad was one of them natural athletes that didn't have to ever train, and he'd just piss all them kids off in school, high school and stuff like that. They'd all be out there training, busting their hump for track meet coming up. My dad would just be hiding in the bleachers, trying to talk to some girls. And then come meet time, my dad would smoke them all, just beat them all. He's just naturally gifted. And so it would just piss those people off because they're training their butts off. They're working so hard. And they're like, Danny, oh, I get so mad at him. They'd be like, you don't ever have to do anything. And so athletics kind of in our family. But I tell you, you get that mileage, you get that wear and tear on there. I played basketball and martial arts and stuff like that for a long time. And all that massive tension on the knees, you just feel it. Never met a sport I didn't like. Yeah, Lewis. I got a left hip that'll mess with me at times, man. And when that thing is buckled before, it'll just drop me to my knees, man. And you know what I'm talking about, probably. It's like all of a sudden I'll just be there and I'll go walk and I'll go, woo, and that hip joint just give out. Yeah, back issues can be rough, fishy. I had a friend who had sciatica and a few other things, and he was always on an inversion table, and he was just having to deal with a constant state of pain. And I like being happy, and it's kind of hard. Football is a tough one, man. I got to be honest with you. I didn't like the contact aspect of football as much, man. I prefer basketball any day of the week. I ain't gonna lie about that one. I didn't want to be a boxer. I didn't want to go into that. I did not want to do, like MMA competition-y kind of stuff. Oh, I was getting a bite, guys. I'll try and throw him right back out there. I went to a place in high school called Irvine High. It was down in Southern California. In 1984, they had the Olympics in LA, and they had the Olympic swimming stuff go on at Irvine High. They had 3 swimming pools, competitive diving, 50-meter diving platform at that high school. There was 2,500 students when I went there, and they had javelin. They had about everything you could imagine at that high school. Sounds good about it. Yeah, I feel you. I was a seriously angry young man. I was really angry as a little child. And so I found sports to really be a great release for me. Until yeah, fishing is now my favorite sport. You got that right. Until I learned how to control my anger. For me, it's kind of like a knee-jerk response. It just I can't eliminate it. It's just second nature. Stuff will happen to me. Someone will say something, something will happen, and anger just happens like that. I find myself, it's like an in-breath. I find myself very angry very fast. But I've learned to control the out-breath, basically. I don't got to say anything. I don't have to react. I thought I could overcome it. I thought I could live a life without anger, but I just learned how to balance it. It's like, it's just a knee-jerk reaction. It just happened. Like I said, I don't have to give in to it. I used to believe that, you're like, oh, this person, that person, they push my buttons. Taking anger management classes taught me, no, you allow your buttons to be pushed. Own your own emotional responsibility. Don't blame others for your emotions. Release. Nice to see you, buddy. Just slamming these little stalkers, hoping for the big ones. Talking about sports injuries. and how fun our knees are, how beautiful it is, all that work we do. You got plans on going live at all? Release to the grease. I saw your sub count hit over 100. I was happy to see that. I don't know if you answered that on another live or not, but I usually carry saws in my truck all the time. I don't always carry my fishing pole. Where I'm at though, I've about a mile and a half drive down this road to get to where I'm at right now, and you can be down here and then a tree will fall and you'll be stuck. A lot of the fishing places I go to, you can drive down there, especially if you're camping, you can be there for a couple days, and you never know, man, you get stuck there. So it's been very important to have chainsaw, something like that in the back. I have to travel about a half hour to get to other water sources. I got Sacramento River, and I got this lake that are right in my backyard, just 5 minutes from home. So I can fish that all day long. But I've noticed after enough time being here that there's patterns. Fishy saw it. We were slamming it when I first started the live, and then I just got a bite, a few minutes ago, and I lost him. But other than that, it's been like a half hour since we've gotten any kind of bites. Carp, I know, man. I tell you. Ooh, okay. I'll make sure I try to catch up on that live later on today, Grease. Yeah, I've never caught carp, never eaten carp, and watching them catch them big monsters, man. Yeah, that's the thing about the trout. They got their time periods. I tell you, they really are active, and there's been many active early morning and evening. Like I said, there's many days where I've been bored, so I'll just sit out here and I don't catch anything. All I'm doing is just throwing worms away. And like now, I just don't. It's over. I don't think I'm going to catch anything else. Heck yes. Yeah, I've heard about certain people eat carp. The Asian carp and things like that. So we got a sucker fish up here. It's a pike minnow, and I heard it's real bony. It was actually the first fish I caught on the Klamath River when I went there. I was salmon. No, actually I was steelhead fishing, and I caught a sucker, and it surprised me. I didn't even know it was in there. And so the Klamath River sucker, and it's a sacred fish to the Klamath River Indians, and they had ceremonies based around that fish, not the salmon. And so that Klamath River sucker was their main food source. They didn't rely on the salmon to feed the tribe as much as they relied on that sucker fish. So I looked into it, and it looked like an interesting one to cook. One of the boniest things I'd ever seen. And so one of the guys that figured it out, what he likes to do is he likes to make this weird little crisscross kind of slice pattern. And he likes to take a real sharp knife, and about every eighth of an inch, you just slice all the way through the fish. And then he deep fries the fish. And so all them little bones in there that get exposed when you make all them little cuts, they just get fried. And so I was like, all right, that looks interesting. I watched another show where a guy took a sucker and cooked it, and he didn't notice barely any bones. So the jury's still out on that one. Wow. Interesting, guys. That's really interesting to know. Thanks, Bouncer. Thanks, Fishy. Yeah, I'm just not from that part of the world, so I don't think I've ever seen a carp or had a chance to catch one. It's not an attractive looking fish. You know, I I like lean, mean fish machine. I don't want no blubbery bottom fish looking guy that just eats all that yuck. I prefer anything in the mackerel family. That's the way to go for me. If it's in the mackerel family, I'm all about it. Well, all you lovely folks, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. It has been a wonderful live sharing my little lake with you. Going to get the sun here, and I'm not getting another fish. I can feel it. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I look forward to running into you on some other lives. Release the grease. Try to do my best. I'll go make sure I got that. Yeah, I got the bells turned on for you, so I should see it. Appreciate you, fishy things. You're my boy, Fishy. Hey, you guys take care of yourself and your family and everybody else you know. Do your best to just be good humans today. Remember, be the best you can in this world to be a good place. All right, everybody. See you on the next live, and I'll see you on whoever's doing the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye now.